that there is some ongoing debate on restrictions on Muslim students in Wesley Girls, which conflicts with international human rights standard and even standard expected of us in Ghana's constitution under Article 33(5) and 26(1) of the constitution.
Since this struggle started, we have never asked.
That's the Minister of Interior.
I'm talking about the
Minister of Interior.
That allow us to build a church, a mosque in the country. Never. Never.
It says we are not seeking to build mosques in mission schools. All we are asking for is to be allowed to pray and
practice.
Fast. Simple.
Pray and fast.
So I ask him the question. In Wesley Girls,
are they not allowed to pray and fast?
Prayer by Muslims.
And I sit here
That's a nice question.
with the greatest of respect and with all the my integrity. Wesley Girls ask girls to spy even the Muslim girls.
Really?
To make sure they don't pray.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm told
that's interesting.
They have to hide to pray. Look,
wow.
We are playing with something that I'm sorry to say can degenerate our society.
It's absurdity that Methodist
Solomon Kansa
must insist. Really, they must insist on what has brought the school to where it is, for which reason parents want to send
find
their
it attractive.
Private college
makes
must
sense.
insist
Okay.
on what has brought the school to the levels that people want to attend.
Everybody wants to attend that school.
Must insist. Your words are there to learn discipline. When they come back to the homes, you infuse your religion into them. Why is it that they are not even preaching about African religion? All this Western religion. They are not even talking about that. No.
They've learned the traditionalists.
The schools are what they are because there are certain principles.
If you've enjoyed this video so far, please do me a huge favour and hit the like button and subscribe. These videos take quite a long time to make, so if you could help me out, I'll love you forever. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get back to this crazy story.
Now, this is the penultimate number and it's number 2. At number 2, I present to you Kweku Afrique. Wow! This guy has a thunderous voice. Like when he speaks, you wanna listen. I've been able to watch a couple of his videos and I sincerely will tell you that he makes great impression in whatever content he's going to present. Thank you so much, Mr. Kweku. Keep up the good work.
In 1925, mission schools were created to serve the churches. In 1957, they were absorbed into Ghana's public system and they were being funded by the government. But today, in 2025, the Supreme Court is being forced to decide what these schools really are. Whether they are missionary schools or they are national schools, whether they are supposed to run on their religious principles alone or they are supposed to allow open religious faith. And the final outcome, the answer from the Supreme Court, will change Ghana's schools forever. In Ghana, there is so much religious tolerance to the fact that at a Muslim church, you could find Christians having a crusade or praying. And this is tolerated. Now, we have this to the extent that in Ghana, we are unable to even decipher who is a Muslim and who is a Christian. We are one perfect people. But now, there is a story which is brewing. That is that in December 2024, Shafiq Osman, a Ghanaian lawyer and PhD candidate at the London School of Economics, took the boldest step. He dragged Wesley Girls Senior High School and even the government of Ghana straight to the Supreme Court. Now, what is he seeking? He's saying that the Muslim girls in Muslim Girls High School are being forced into practices that are not part of their faith. Now, he argues that Ghana is a secular state too. Public schools cannot impose religion, and Muslim girls must be allowed to fast and practice Islam freely. But the situation is quite different because I attended the Ghana Senior High School, and in Ghana Senior High School, we have schools which are Muslim schools and we have Christian schools. So, if you're a Muslim and you attend a Christian school, you are forced, or you are going to learn all the Christian ethics, the Bible, everything. You will do it just like a Christian because you chose that school. And we also have some Christians who have also attended some Islamic schools. When you do that, you also be forced. It's part of the school's ethics. You learn the school's Quran. You learn the school's practices. You pray. Even if you're a Christian, you pray. You recite the Quran. You learn everything about the Islamics because you chose to attend that school. And we have big celebrities who went through that system. Black Rasta is one typical example. He is a Christian, but he ended up in one Muslim school, and now he can recite the Quran. So it's common knowledge in Ghana. I mean, it's something common that a lot of people have been churned out through it. But the thing is that the bigger schools or the most popular schools in Ghana, most of them are all Christian schools. And so these are the schools that every child yearns to attend. The Wesley Grammar, the Wesley High, Infantiman, Infantipim, Adisadel. All these schools are Christian schools. And these are the schools that every person in Ghana wants to attend. As a result, most of these Christians put their religion aside and attend some of these schools. And they are forced to practice the Christian ethics. But now, things seems to be changing as this ruling has been taken to court. So this was a simple argument, right, for the court to determine. But the Attorney General of Ghana came to court with a completely different energy. Now, according to him, Wesley Girls is not a public school in an ordinary sense. And that the Attorney General says that Wesley Girls is owned by a Methodist church, even though the government funds it. And so they should be allowed to practice their beliefs and religion according to how it's been done for a very long time. What this means is that the school can keep its Methodist identity. It can promote its own religious practices. Government money does not make it an ordinary public school. So this changes everything. But in the same National Democratic Congress Party, NDC, we also have the Minister of Education, Haruna Idrusu, who is a Muslim, and we also have the Interior Minister, who is also a Muslim. So the Minister of Education in Parliament rose today and said that what they are practicing in Wesley Girls is strictly against international laws. According to him, the restrictions conflict with international human rights standards and even standards expected of us in Ghana's constitution.
Mr. Speaker, let me also use this opportunity in debating the budget, since I speak as the present Minister for Education, that there is some ongoing debate on restrictions on Muslim students in Wesley Girls, which conflicts with international human rights standard and even standard expected of us in Ghana's constitution under Article 33(5) and 26(1) of the constitution. And then to assure our colleagues that we have a duty to uphold the rights of every Ghanaian child and to uphold the rights of every Ghanaian citizen. No right is divisible, and that we will not countenance any action by any person to deny any Ghanaian girl the opportunity to profess or practice any religion.
And that is Ghana's Minister of Education. So for him saying that, it changes a lot of things and it says a lot of things. But it didn't stop there. On Joy News file, the Interior Minister, who is Muhammad Mubarak Muntaka, also said that in Wesley Girls, in fact, some students are asked to spy on Muslim girls who go to pray, and that the students even have to hide to pray. He goes further to say that Ghana is playing with something that can degenerate our society.
Section 7 of the Education Ordinance of 1887, that's Cap 67, articulated the following: direct religious teaching shall not form part of the instruction to be given in any government school. Believe me, since this struggle started, we have never asked, when I say we, I'm talking about the Muslim community, that allow us to build a church, a mosque in a Catholic school. Never. Never. All we are saying is that...
So on that point, before you continue to develop it, the plaintiff in this suit, Shafiq,
yeah,
he says, he confirms what you have just said.
Yeah.
He says, we are not seeking to build mosques in mission schools. All we are asking for is to be allowed to pray and fast simple. So I asked him the question, in Wesley Girls, do they prohibit prayer by Muslims? He says, yes, I'm told.
And something, let me say this. And I sit here, with the greatest of respect and with all my integrity. Wesley Girls ask girls to spy even the Muslim girls to make sure they don't pray. Yes.
I'm told they hide. They hide to pray.
They have to hide to pray. Look, we are playing with something that, I'm sorry to say, can degenerate our society. Women alone do not even do Friday prayers. It's not even mandatory for a female to be there. That's why you see when you go to most of our Friday prayers, many of them you don't even see them in large numbers. You see the elderly because it's not mandatory, it's for the male. I get it. And even in the case of the male student, let's say, for lack of better word, let's say Presbyterian Boys Secondary School. My second born attended Presbyterian Secondary School. They only have a place where they worship. It's not a mosque, but they give them a space where they can worship. In Achimota, they're giving them a place where they can worship, but they adhere to all the schools. And people say that, oh, you can't get up and go and pray at 1 and get up and go and pray at 3. That's not what they are seeking for. During break time, the prayer takes sometimes 5 minutes. Don't criminalize it, because they are criminalizing on those campuses. But let me say this something. I can tell you, majority of the Christian schools are very accommodating. Believe me, if you ask me to rank them from, say, 1 to 100, I can say with authority that over 80% of the Christian faith-based schools are very accommodating. Now, since this struggle started, do you know what we are beginning to see as ministers, or as a minister for Interior? Some of the Muslim schools are beginning to also do. I said, no. What you complained that was wrong somewhere, we will not allow you to also do it here. Because one, others are beginning to say that, look, you come here, this Ahmadiyya Muslim, I'm just saying that because I don't want to mention a specific school. This is a Muslim school, so you have to perform ablution and you have to be in the mosque. Fasting is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and it's mandatory for every Muslim who is healthy. So during Ramadan, we won't cook, we won't provide lunch. We only provide the dawn prayer. If you want, you can keep your dawn prayer food as a Christian and eat it in the afternoon. That is intolerance.
But there is a catch, because Muslims, at least in a day, have 4 types of prayers in one day. So, if the academic calendar is scheduled and they're supposed to allow Muslims to go and pray 4 times or 5 times in a day, what that means is that whenever that time, which is the morning, the afternoon, I think that there are 4 or 5, these students will be allowed to go and pray. And you know how students behave. So if they are allowed to go out 5 times in a day to go and pray, you know what it can create, right? You know. And so most of these schools have created a simple pattern for these kids to go and then pray. But they are saying that in Wesley Girls, all of these things are not possible. They are not allowed to do that. And the Minister of Interior goes further to say that he, as a person, together with the Parliament Select Committee, they've had several meetings with authorities of Wesley Girls. But it looks as if they don't want other people to practice their religion. That is what it looks in Wesley Girls Senior High School. So the president of the Catholic Bishops Conference, who is Most Reverend Matthew Kweku, also had this to say. Now, according to him, a recent survey shows that the Pentecostals even fast more than the Muslims, and that they are allowed to have their normal fasting. But there is a catch. The catch is that fasting, they are prevented, because fasting can be injurious to the health of this student. And again, fasting can affect academic work, because definitely if you fast, you don't have the energy to learn. And we all know that, academics, learning takes a lot of energy from you. You should know that, right? If you've gone to school, the secondary school, and you were fasting and you were learning, you know how it feels. When you learn very well, you see how you get hungry very quick. So he's saying that fasting can be injurious to the health of the kids. And so they propose something that parents who want their wards to fast should go to the school and sign and say that, okay, for me, I want my child to fast. I will take care of whatever happens afterwards. If you don't do that, you will not be allowed to fast in school because it can be injurious to your health and can also distract academic work.
Not that they are discriminating against fasting or anything. In fact, our recent survey shows that, in fact, it's the Pentecostals who fast most in our schools, not the Muslims. And the school says, at this age, for the young girls and those things, to do fasting is injurious to their health and to the academic work. So, if anything happens in the course of the fasting, it is the headmistress or the headmaster who will be held responsible. So, the school says, don't fast as students. Okay, now, since the Wesley Girls saga, all the religious bodies and our heads have sat down, and we have come out with a memorandum of understanding to guide religious tolerance in schools. We have all signed, including the chief imam and the head of the Presbyterian, Methodist, Anglican, and then we have signed. So in it, you find out like, now, if there are students in a school who want to fast, but the code says, no, you can't fast, no problem. Let your parents or your guardians come and do an undertaking that they have allowing you to fast. So if anything happens to you, the headmaster is not responsible, is not supposed to be held what? Responsible. And they have assigned that. You have all agreed that. So the issue of the students not fasting in schools any longer is not there. You just have to do this and guarantee that this is your son, this is your daughter, you said he can fast. Good, then they can fast. But you cannot say that this is the time that the dining hall should give us food around this time. When in the school code of conduct, you are supposed to have supper at this time. And you are supposed to be in class at this time. And you are supposed to be in this at that time. You cannot make those exemptions for students.
And now a lot of people are sharing their opinion on the story. Now, one of the opinion coming up is the chairman of the board of trustee of the Full Gospel Church, Most Reverend D.S. and Mensah. Now, according to him, he said that they will not allow Muslims to practice their religion in Christian schools. If you want to practice, go to a Muslim school.
Let's be real. If perhaps the Muslims were 72 in majority and the Christians 17 in minority, would they be calling for this? Let's ask ourselves. Let's be real. Let's be real. We cannot be the majority yet be the weaker side. You cannot be the majority voice and yet be the weaker side. And you cannot just be the minority and yet be the stronger voice.
But Solomon Nkansa, who is the director of communication for United Party, he has argued that we must not introduce impunity into our schools because of right. Now, according to him, schools like Wesley Girls must uphold the traditions that make them desirable to parents.
It's absurdity that Methodist and the Wesley Girls school must insist. Really, they must insist on what has brought the school to where it is, for which reason parents want to send their wards there. Private college must insist on what has brought the school to the levels that people want to attend. TRMS must insist. Look, there was this ruling about the Rasta man in Achimota. People were jubilating. We must allow right. If you are a young man and you are going to school, are you going to learn discipline or you want to do what pleases you?
No, but Rasta doesn't mean you are in.
What Rasta? Go to Rasta school. The school says you must keep your head at a certain.
Now in the US doing.
Forget about that. I've seen him writing all. You see, we must not introduce impunity in our system.
But what is impunity?
What are you talking about? The school says ABC. That's why we learn discipline. After school, if you want to do your own thing, go and do your own thing.
You mean conformity?
Conformity.
What is it?
Then they must also go there and say that you will not attend prep. It's against our religion.
We watch buses.
What is this?
We wear buses to lectures.
This right is what some professors asked us to be doing tumu in this country. Remember tumu, LGBTQ. I saw professors going to court. We must allow men and men, women and women to be sleeping because of right. Small thing we are in court because we think that we know English.
You think that's a bin of
But Wesley Girls must insist. They can go to court and get their ruling. You go and meet the teachers there. What is this business? We are going to practice our religious faith. We must do, what is it? Your words are there to learn discipline. When they come back to the homes, you infuse your religion into them. Why is it that they are not even preaching about African religion? All this Western religion. They are not even talking about that. Look, the schools are what they are because there are certain principles.
So now we are waiting for, the court day and the declaration of what the court is going to say. But one thing I can tell you is that the outcome of the court ruling will change these Christian schools forever. Whether it goes in their favor or against their favor. But you, what do you think of the whole issue? Do you think that Muslim students in Christian schools should be allowed to practice their normal, routine, fast, pray, just like any other person? Or you think that if they want to do that, they should go to Muslim schools? Don't forget that in Muslim school, they also allow Christians to practice the Islamic faith. It's like that throughout. But do you think we should give chance for this to change? Don't forget to leave your comment in the comment section. My name is Kweku Africa, and it's a wrap.